Hello, in today's video we will be looking at how to attempt the codes question type in the 11+. Let's look at our first example to see what type of method to use. Here we have 4 boxes, each with the pictures inside them and a letter on either side. We have M and F, then T and F, then T and P, then M and F. We also have a 5th box with another picture inside it. What we need to do is find the combination of letters to put in these 2 outside boxes which suits the picture. So for example, we could say that M correlates to white, and T correlates to black. So for example, in this picture, the first box would be T, but we can also see that here T is on the left and the shape is white. Therefore, we can deduce that it's not about the color. The first box is not about the color. So next, let's look at the number of shapes. Here we have M and we have 3 shapes. Here we have T and we have 2 shapes. So M could stand for 3 and T could stand for 2. Again, we have T and 2 shapes. But this time we have M in the left, but only 1 shape. So we can say that the left box has nothing to do with the number of shapes. And finally, let's look at the type of shapes. We have circles in our first box for M, squares for T, or rectangles rather, rectangles again for T, and circles for M again. So, as our 5th box has circles, we can say that M is the first letter. Next, let's look at our second letter. We have F, F, P, and F. By saying these letters and looking at the pictures at the same time, we can see that all of the white shapes have F and the black shapes have P. So, our 2 letters for this shape is MP. Let's look at the second question to apply this method again and see if it works. So for our first box, we have R, T, R, and R. We can see that we have a square in the first box, a black square, which correlates to the letter R, which could correlate to the letter R. Then we have a black circle, which could correlate to the letter T. But then again we have a black circle which can't correlate to the letter R because we already have a black square and a black circle would be T. So the first letter has nothing to do with the shape of the black shape. Next, let's look at whether the black shape overlaps the grey triangle or whether the grey triangle overlaps the black shape. So as I go through these, I'll say the color of the shape that is on top. R, black, T, grey, R, black, R, black. So we can see that if the black shape is overlapping, our first letter is R, but if the grey shape is overlapping, our first letter is T. So we can fill in T in our first box. Next, let's look at what the second letter means. Again, we'll try what we tried first with the shape of what's in black. So S, we have a square. F, we have a circle. F, we have a circle again. And S, we have a square again. So we can see that S correlates to squares and F correlates to circles. So our second box is an S because we have a square. The TS is our code. Let's look at question 3. In our first box here, we have Z, then W, then Z, then W. If we look closely at our pictures, we can see that the middle shape in the first picture is a square. Then we have a square again. Then we have a square that's tilted. And then we have a square that's tilted again. So if we look at how that links to our first letter, we have Z, straight square, W straight square. So already we can see that this has failed because we can't have Z and W both linking to straight squares. Next, let's look at the number of lines coming out of the square. Z has 8, W also has 8. And as we go on, we can see that all of them have 8. So we can rule that out for having anything to do with the letters. But if we look even closer, we can see that some of the lines, like the vertical and horizontal lines in the first picture, are in bold. So if we go through those, we can see that vertical and horizontal is Z, diagonal is W, vertical and horizontal is Z, and diagonal again is W. So if we look at our final picture, we have diagonal. So the first letter would be W. Before we move on, you might have already spotted this, and that is that this picture is actually the exact same as our second example. So instead of having to work out each letter, we could just write WU, because that's the code for the picture that looks the exact same. Let's look at question 4. Here we have some zigzaggy line shapes with 3 shapes, either inside, outside, or a bit of both. And those 3 shapes are either diamonds or rectangles throughout. So if we look at our first letter, we can see that K, all of them are in, T, all of them are out, K, all of them are out. So since K was all of them are in originally, it can't be to do with where they are, because here that all of them are out. Next, let's look at the shapes. So K links to diamonds, T links to rectangles, K links to diamonds again, and finally K links to diamonds. So we can say that our first box is T, because they are rectangles, like in the second picture. And next, our second box has F, P, P, and S. So this time we have 3 different options. And this coincides quite well with how the shapes are arranged. In our first picture, all of them are inside, F. In our second and third, all of the shapes are outside, both P. And in our last one shape is inside, whilst 2 are outside, S. And in our given picture, all of the shapes are inside. So we can say that the code is TF. F links to all of them are inside. Let's look at question 5 now. At this point, feel free to pause the video and attempt the question yourself before resuming to see if you were correct. Our first picture, WX, or let's look at the first letter only, W, has a triangle and a square. Our second picture, F, has 2 triangles, K has 2 squares, W again has a square and a triangle. This fits quite well, so we could try this on our final one, and that gives us 2 squares, which is K. And then for the dotted line, we have straight, X, curved, Z, and curved again, Z. So we can say that since it's a straight line, X is our second letter. So KX is the code for this final picture. Finally, here's a little challenge for you to try yourself at home. Answer the question and put what you think the answer is down below in the comments, and I'll tell you if you're correct. Finally, I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like on the video if you found it useful, and subscribe for more videos like this.